God, look at that picture over there. There's the Earth coming up. Wow, is that pretty?
Hello and welcome to the second session of the 2024 Astrophotography Prize event. We are thrilled that you have joined us from wherever you are across the world as we are here to celebrate the incredible artistry of astrophotography. So today we are going to showcase some really outstanding work and shortly we'll begin the live judging of the top 25 finalists in the solar system category. I'm Robyn Campbell. I'm the competition coordinator. I'm essentially the person behind the scenes that ensures everything rolls smoothly, and I'm your host for today's event. Also working behind the scenes, we have Lorenzi, who is our live stream specialist, and Daniel Bingham, our awards software expert. So big thank you, gentlemen, for all you contribute. Your expertise is essential to making these events run smoothly. Thank you so much. So before we begin, we're actually running this event from Australia. In Australia, we have a custom that's performed at the beginning of meetings that bring people together. It's called the Acknowledgement of Country. So I would like to acknowledge the Wurundjeri Wurrung people of the Kulin Nation, the traditional custodians of the land on which this event is hosted today. We pay our respects to their elders, past, present, and emerging. We also recognise the rich and enduring culture of the skies held by the Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander peoples. Long before Western astronomy, Aboriginal ancestors studied the stars, gave names to celestial bodies, and used them to interpret star maps and songlines. Their understanding of the night sky, passed down through generations, remains an integral part of Australia's cultural heritage. We honour their deep connection to the night sky. This event would not be possible without the generous support of our sponsors. So I would like to thank the following. Our major sponsors are NEAC. So NEAC is sponsoring the event and live stream. The Northeast Astro Imaging Conference will be held next year from April 7th to 8th in New York. So grab your tickets, grab your airfares, head on over to New York. It's 2 days with 28 talks, 15 presenters, and it includes Wolfgang, who is one of our judges. Includes workshops, equipment showcases, vendor exhibits, and door prizes. So check it out. Plenty to do. Our other overall sponsor is Stellarvue, who is sponsoring our Astrophotographer of the Year. They have very generously given us Stellarvue SVX 102T telescope worth over 3,000 USD. So for our 4 category winners, one of those will be the lucky winner of that prize. Tonight, we're judging the solar system category. Our first place prize has been sponsored by QSI, and it is an Attic Infinity color camera valued at over $1,000 USD. So lovely camera. It has a Sony ICX 825 sensor and an EXView HAD CC2 technology. So very, very high resolution. Our second prize is also sponsored by QSI. It's an Attic GP color camera, and it has a highly sensitive 1.3 million pixel IXS 445 EXView 2. Okay, so both amazing prizes. Third place is also sponsored by Astrography, and that's a fantastic voucher so that you can do some printing. So thank you so much to our sponsors. It is very much appreciated that you have come on board. So after our judging session, which is going to go for about an hour and a half, we have a very special treat. We're excited to announce that Marco Lorenzi, who is an expert in planetary and deep space photography, will be giving us a keynote presentation. Marco is also one of our judges. He'll be joining us shortly to judge the upcoming category. So his presentation is titled Real PSF Deconvolution / Understanding Atmospheric Dispersion. So stay tuned for that. After we hear from Marco, we'll also have the announcement of the category winner, as well as first and second runner-up. So now I get to introduce you to our fabulous panel of expert judges for this evening. So we have collected judges from all over the world for this category. We have Jean-Luc Dauvergne, who is from France.
Hello.
Jean-Luc is a scientific journalist who has a special interest in astronomy. He works for the French magazines Ciel and Eastway. He published a book in 2008 entitled Photographer du Ciel, Capture the Night Sky. Jean-Luc has also published the most detailed map of Mars from the ground. Photographs were taken at the Pic du Midi Observatory in the French Pyrenees using a 1-meter telescope. Jean-Luc and his team then assembled hundreds of photos to combine this incredible map into a rotating sphere, resulting in a 360-degree view of the red planet. So welcome, Jean-Luc.
Thank you.
We also have Peter Eastway from Sydney, Australia. Peter is a very well-known Australian photographer, particularly known for his landscape photography and very creative use of post-production. He's been in the photographic magazine publishing industry for over 40 years. He's been exhibited nationally and internationally, and he's one of the photographers featured in the Tales by Light television series that originally aired on the National Geographic channel and can currently be viewed on Netflix. So go and check it out. Peter's also a grandmaster photographer. His work is outstanding. We also have Christopher Go from the Philippines. Oh, hi, Peter. You want to say hello? Awesome. Fantastic.
Hello.
We also have Christopher Go from the Philippines. Christopher's been an astrophotographer since 1990 and a renowned planetary imager since 2003. In 2006, Chris discovered that the white spot oval BA of Jupiter had turned red. The oval BA is now called the Red Spot Junior. Chris joined his team that used the Hubble Space Telescope to image Red Spot Junior. He has worked with the WM Keck Observatory, currently the largest telescope in the world, the Gemini Observatory, and the Hubble Heritage Team. He received the APLO's 2008 Walter Haas Award, and in 2015, the International Astronomical Union officially designated asteroid 2000 EL 1572 30100 Christopher Go. Welcome, Chris.
Hi. Hi from the Philippines. We have a stormy weather here, so it's nice to be indoors.
Stormy weather. Yep. No imaging tonight then, hey?
No.
We'd also like to welcome Dr. Tanya Hill. Dr. Tanya develops award-winning planetarium shows for the Melbourne Planetarium, and she works with a creative team of people to tell stories about the universe. These planetarium shows are licensed to planetariums around Australia and to 20 countries across the world. You can regularly hear Dr. Tanya on the radio, inspiring people to look up and explore the night sky. Tanya carried out research in the field of extragalactic astronomy, where she hunted for supermassive black holes using a variety of Australian telescopes. Tanya is an honorary fellow in physics at the University of Melbourne and an honorary fellow of the Astronomical Society of Australia. She's also in the Australian representative for the European Southern Observatory's Science Outreach Network. Welcome, Tanya.
Hi, it's great to be here.
Thank you so much. Tanya was also one of our judges last year for the Astro categories when we were incorporated with the Australian Photographic Prize. So it's lovely to have you back.
No, it's really good. Looking forward to it.
Awesome. And finally, we have Marco Lorenzi. So being born in Italy, but living in Asia, Marco shoots most of his planetary images from home in Singapore, while his deep sky images are taken remotely from a robotic observatory in Chile. Marco's photos have been published in many astronomy magazines and books around the globe, and he has received several APODs. Marco won both deep sky and robotic imaging sections of the 2011 and runner-up in the planetary image section in 2023. One thing has never changed for Marco in 30 years of images. He loves his feel for the night sky and the desire to see through the immense distances that separate us from those glittering lights. The passion is still there. Hey, Marco?
Yeah, despite more than 5 decades, yes, something passion and obsession. I used to joke with my wife.
Amazing.
Something.
5 decades. I tell you what, if we were to add up the years with all these panels, we'd have a few centurions going on here. So very, very impressive. Great work. And finally, I'm honoured to have our panel chair mentor, Andy Campbell, here. So Andy is my husband. He's competition director and a renowned astrophotographer in his own right. He's Grandmaster of the former AIPP and Fellow of the New Zealand Institute of Professional Photography. He was winner of the Dark Sky section of the David Malin Awards and 4 times shortlisted for the Royal Greenwich Observatory International Astronomy Photographer of the Year. He's twice Australian Science Photographer of the Year and has won numerous NASA APODs as well. Andy is going to be guiding our discussion and leading the live judging session. So,
hi everyone.
Without further ado, I'm going to hand things over to you now, Andy, to kick off the judging.
Alrighty then, and just for the benefit of the live streamer, each judge will be scoring the images as they come up together. They'll be scoring them out of 100. We'll average the score, I'll announce that score, and then we'll see what happens after that. So could we have the first image, please? Okay, and the entrance statement is my successful composite of the April 8, 2024 total solar eclipse, processed to reveal the magnetic fields visible within the corona. The location is Dardanelle, Arkansas, USA. That's Arkansas, isn't it? I beg your pardon. USA, using astrophysics 92mm stowaway refractor and a Canon 70D SLR camera. We are looking at a total integration time of roughly 3 minutes with 23 sets of bracketed exposures ranging from 1/2050th of a second all the way to 0.8 of a second. So judges, if you could please score this image.
I cannot see anything on my screen.
Okay. Daniel,
No
if
image
you're
to judge
there.
yet. Can you guys see anything?
Yeah, we're all good. I am
Yeah,
good.
For me, it's okay, yes.
Daniel, would you suggest Chris?
Christopher,
I
could
see
you
it.
try logging off and logging back on again?
Yeah, I just refreshed it. I see it now.
Okay,
Excellent.
thank you.
No.
If you could score the image, please. This image has scored 86, which is a strong, solid silver award. Are we comfortable with that, folks? Okay. In that case, I'm going to call on, actually, Chris, if you're there. No, you're not there. Sorry, Marco.
Yes,
Sorry,
I'm
you are
here.
there. Chris, I'll call on you to make comment about this image, please.
Yeah, it looks nice. I was actually there in Texas for this eclipse. Yeah, it's a nice composite, but one concern I have is it's a little over sharpened. The corona seems to be a little over sharpened, but overall it's a nice image.
Okie dokie. And is there anything that you would suggest to the entrant that might help them get those few extra points to lift it up to a higher score?
Honestly, this is eclipse photos isn't really my expertise.
Okay. No problem at all. All right. Any other judges wish to comment on this one?
I had the same feeling as Christopher. It's a little bit over-sharped, so I think it would be easy to reprocess the image to have something a little bit smoother, a little bit more natural. But you know, when you have such an image of eclipse, the contrast between the far corona and the preeminence is very, very strong. So the processing is very hard to manage. So obviously it's very hard to process this kind of image, but I think the raw data is very good. So maybe there is something better to do with these files.
Thanks so much for your feedback there, Jean-Luc and Chris. We'll accept that score of 86, which is a solid silver award, and we'll move on to the next image, please. Okay. The creative intent here was to capture the entire experience of the 2024 total solar eclipse in a single image. This one's taken from Newport with a Canon T4 self-modified, Stellarvue SV80ST2, and the exposure is 8 by 15 seconds from 1/4000th of a second to 4 seconds at ISO 100. I should mention that to everybody in the live stream that the judges have all of this technical information at their fingertips so that they are fully capable of assessing the image to its best result. If we could get your scores, please, team. And this image has averaged 83. Again, a solid silver award. Congratulations to the entrant. Judges, are we all happy with that score?
Yep.
Okie dokie.
Yes.
In that case, we will ask for a little bit of a comment on that one. Who would like to make a comment on this?
Maybe I can start. So
yes, please, Marco.
I do really like this image. I mean, honestly, it's really representing how some of the important moments on the solar eclipse with the central totality, the bits visible on the sides, and a little bit on the evolution on the partial phases. So it's really nice composition. Maybe the only notes leave me a little bit. I would probably cut in a little bit different way. I found that cutting the sides on the partial phases, I don't know, give me a little bit of a cramped feeling. So I would have preferred to leave a little bit more spaces, or maybe going more for landscape orientation. But that's is also part of the decision of the author. So overall, very, very nice, and also kind of emotional.
Excellent. Thank you for those insights and feedback, Marco. I'm sure if the entrant is watching, they can take that on board. Could we have the next image, please? The entrant statement is full sun with high activity, taken from Lorraine in France on a Skywatcher 72 ED, Quark Chromosphere Paramount Mighty Mount. The camera is a ZWO 174mm with the IR UV cut filter. It's a mosaic of 12 panels, 3,000 images per panel, selecting 1% of the best images. I'll get you to score this one at your convenience, folks. Now, this image has scored 86, very solid silver award. Are we all comfortable with that? Okie dokie.
Yes.
Let's call for some feedback on this one. Who would like to make a comment on this one? Who's a solar expert?
Well, I'm not a solar expert, but I'm happy to make a comment. I really liked the creative feel of this image. The fact that the central part of it, we really get to see the detail of the sun, but you haven't lost that feeling that we're looking at this enormous ball of fire that is what gives life and light and energy for us here on Earth. So that's the composition side of it that I really thought was quite amazing about the image.
There's a lot going on there, isn't there? Quite extraordinary. Good, we'll accept that score of 86 and we'll go to the next image, please. So the entrance statement here. Comet C/2021 A1 Leonard. The frames are LRGB mosaic. It's quite difficult to bring out the details in the tail at the risk of over-averaging them given the speed. The location is the entrance own remote telescope in Monte Patria in Chile. The equipment is an AG optical IHW 12.5-inch f3.9 telescope with a QHY CCD, QHY 600, and astronomic LRGB 2C filters. We're looking at 30 by 60 seconds for RGB and 20 by 90 seconds of luminance, bringing a total integration time of 1 hour. And just waiting on a score from Jean-Luc.
Okay.
Thank you, Jean-Luc. All right, this image averages 89. I think we should perhaps talk about this one. We have 2 judges in the 90s and we have 2 judges at 89. So I would like to suggest that the highest scoring judge should challenge this one. Would that be all right with you, Tanya?
Sure. Yep.
All right. Would you talk to the print, please? Talk to the image, please.
What I think is really lovely about this image. So there's 3 different. Again, I'll go more the science level, but there are the 3 different parts of the comet that you can see there. The beautiful glow of the green, the nucleus, and then you've got the dust tail, which is kind of extended at the front there. And then I believe coming right through the middle is the iron tail, which often you'll see in comets, the dust tail and the iron tail will actually separate, which can make beautiful images. But I love the aspect, and I mean, it's as much the luck of the comet, but the photographers really used to that advantage, the fact that how the iron tail is kind of feeding, weaving through that dust tail, and then pulling out the how the iron tail is being changed and modified by its interaction with the solar wind. That's what why I rated this quite highly.
Fantastic. Marco, could I ask you to speak to the image, please? Your score is a little lower.
Well, yeah, I mean, I'm always a little bit debating with a comets image because they are solar system, but it's a completely different techniques, right? So it's always something which is a borderline with the techniques used on the deep sky. So I'm always a little bit debated internally if these should belong to one or the other. In general, I would say I love the image, and it's very well done because you can see it's not easy, in fact, to merge the different images because the comets is actually moving, and especially when they are so extended, means they are very close. They are usually very fast comparing the background. So typically, when you take this type of images, you use a monochrome images on the equipment. You need to somehow take care of the actual movement on speed of the comet, the movement of the comet on the background. So there is a level of complexity there. I can also increase a little bit. In fact, it's a beautiful executed image. Is more, yeah. I mean, it's also a little bit easier to be emotional with a comets image that you are with the planets, right? So it's a different type of complexity.
Thank you, Marco. I'll also ask Jean-Luc to talk to this image, please. Jean-Luc, your score is right on the average at 89.
Yes, exactly. I'm very impressed by this image. It's quite perfect. And as Marco said, it's tricky to process because the comet is moving compared to the stars. So it's a big difficulty. And you have also a big difficulty that is the contrast between the nucleus and the tail, especially the far part of the tail. So it's a little bit like on a solar eclipse. In fact, you have a very big challenge with the contrast of the object. So here, everything is quite perfect. But for me, maybe it was not the more beautiful comet of the year. So that's why I didn't put the highest score. But in fact, in this picture, everything is perfect. For a picture of this comet, I think it's quite a perfect picture.
So with that in mind, Tanya, would you like to have your right of reply? Or has it all been said?
No, I think we've yeah.
We're good. All right, so we're gonna lock your score of 94 in, and everyone else is now free to rescore this image as they see fit based on the comments we've already had. So, gentlemen, I'll ask you to rescore. And the image now scores, just get this right. 89. I'm sorry, just bear with me 10 seconds. I just need to confirm. This image remains on 89. So we had a good chat about it. And congratulations to the entrant. Let's
Andy, did you want me to just jump in there and explain the majority rule? Because we've probably got some slightly confused people at home as to how it stays on that number.
Yep.
So how it works in this scoring system is we have a by majority ruling. So if we have 3 judges in a particular scoring range, so in this case in a silver, it goes to the highest end of the silver. So we need to have the majority of judges agreeing that it should be in a gold range before we get that gold. So the numbers still count though. So when it comes to our first, second and third, the total points, if we're sort of tossing up between 2 different 89s, that large number will make a difference. So hope that helps to explain.
Thanks, Robyn. Let's go to the next image, please. This image of a plane transiting the sun is one frame taken from a video back on the 2nd of August in 2024. It's taken from Hackett in the Australian Capital Territory using a ZWO ASI 432 mono camera, a Lunt 100mm EO Apo triplet refractor, double stacked pressure tuned hydrogen alpha ethanol filters. Total integration time, 20 minutes. Scores are coming in thick and fast now. We'd like to acknowledge QSI and thank them for sponsoring this category with the first and second prizes, and our friends at Astrography for donating the 3rd prize. The image score is 85. Very solid silver award. Congratulations. All the judges' scores are within a similar range here. So I'm going to call on Peter Eastway for a comment, please.
Thank
Peter,
you,
are you
Andrew.
there?
I thought you'd leave it for the hardest one to talk to. I approach the images, I guess, more from the point of view that it's a scientific image, but it's perhaps trying to educate us mere masses about what's happening. This is a great example where we're combining the sun with something that we can all relate to, travel. And I often feel when I'm down the back of the economy class, around about as hot as that picture looks most of the time that I'm flying. Compositionally, very strong. I like the fact that the plane is a little bit blurred and juddery. It just sort of gives that sense of a real picture. Not quite so enamored with the surrounding sun, and I'm just doing that because I'm comparing with other images, and I just feel that there could be a little bit more vibrance and a little bit more contrast perhaps just thrown into that. But overall, very strong silver, beautifully seen and well presented.
Thanks so much for your feedback there, Peter. And let's go to the next image, please. So we're looking at a coronal loop. A coronal loop is a well-defined arch-like structure in the sun's atmosphere made up of relatively dense plasma. These elegant, highly structured rings are the direct consequence of the twisting flow of solar magnetism relative to the surface of the sun. The spreading of coronal rings is directly linked to the solar cycle, which is why the rings typically appear in conjunction with sunspots, which are visible at the base of the rings. The image was taken at Castelbelforti using an achromatic refractor and a Coronado PST H alpha mod, a ZWO ASI 178mm camera, and that's been barlowed 2.7 times. Total integration time with 4,096 frames, stacked 400. Could we ask for your scores, please? Image score currently is 88. Very strong in the silver range. Would you like to discuss this one further, any of the judges, with regard to a challenge, or are we happy with that?
Look, I'm happy to challenge it, actually.
Thank you, Tanya.
Yes, because I rated this much more highly, both because I think science-wise, it's absolutely incredible seeing those corona loops and tracing out the magnetic field lines of the sun, and also seeing there the surface, almost that fuzziness of the jets that arise from the sun's surface. But I think not only does it have that beautiful science, but to me, the creative feel of it, the way that the image is so beautifully framed, is another reason why I'm rating it so highly. So I would suggest if people would want to take another look at it, perhaps.
Thanks so much, Tanya. Peter Eastway, you're the lowest scorer.
Yeah.
Can I ask you to comment on this one, please?
Yeah, sure. I have no doubt it's an amazing subject to have captured. I looked at it from a pictorial point of view, and I thought, well, if we've got certain controls over how we can communicate what it's all about, I just felt that didn't feel that it was as strongly presented as it could have been. What do I mean by that? I feel that those trail bits, the coronal loop, could perhaps be lightened in certain areas and give me, the viewer, a little bit more information about what the shape is supposed to look like. And when I enlarged it up, and Tanya, you might be able to help me here, I enlarged it up, it's all completely blurry and smooth, and I figure, well, nothing's going to stay still, is it, on the sun? So is that it? But I have seen other images of the sun where there is a certain crispness introduced to the image, which is perhaps an expectation that I wrongly had. So I'm listening.
Let's call for a comment also on this one from Chris. Can we ask you to speak to this image, please, sir?
Well, it's a nice image, high resolution image of this prominence, and it's nice and crisp. I like the way it's composed, but it's just a small area. It's a high resolution.
Sorry, Chris, we might have lost your audio there for a second.
Can you hear me? Can you hear me?
Yep, got you back now.
Yeah, as I was saying, it's a nicely composed image. Albeit, it's only a small part of the sun. I have a little concerns on the blurriness of the edge, where the prominence seems to come out with. But other than that, it looks okay.
Okie dokie. So we've had a little bit of a debate and a bit of a discussion. Tanya, would you like to take on the right of reply, please?
I suppose I see what you mean by, in some ways, the blurriness. Is that again, I'm not an expert in the photography side of things, if that is just the fact that the motion is so much, but to me that also gives a realism to it. Sometimes I feel with these images, when they're so in focus and it takes it away from really what it's almost like it's beyond reality. So that's why I really still like this image and the way this has been captured.
I tend to agree also. There is, it's quite normal in solar photography on the border. It's extremely difficult to balance between the brightness of the central site and the brightness of the periphery, the border in particular. And I believe here is pretty well merged. So I find very natural, and there is this kind of a hairy feeling on the surface. To me is really giving a very good feeling of reality. I can really see the flames coming up. So I agree with Tanya, actually. I believe it deserves a little bit higher. So,
all right, thanks very much, everybody. Let's rescore this image. Tanya, you're locked in at 95. Well, we now have a gold award. Our first gold award. This image has scored 90. Congratulations to the entrant. It's a fine image. Well done. Could we move to the next image, please? Hey, the information is solar activity on the 9th of the 7th, 2024. This is from Nadelborzsonyi in Hungary. The equipment used is a Skywatcher Equinox 120 ED, a Player 1 Apollo M Max camera, BARDA DERF energy rejection filter, Daystar Quark, and a Skywatcher EQ6R mount. We're looking at 150 times 6.5 milliseconds. And I'll get you to score the image now, please, folks. Give a little shout out on the way there to our major sponsor, NEAC, as well, thanking them for their contributions to making this event happen. Well, bang, straight to gold, people. This one has scored 90. Boom. You've got, in fact, 3 of you straight into the gold. So that's amazing. Well done. Peter, you're waving your arm in the air. Would you like to comment on this image?
I figure that since there's going to be a final score at the end of the day, if they've got 89, we'd all have a chat that might get a few more points. So I'd like to suggest that the panel chairman select someone to challenge the picture, and so we can have a chat and see whether we need to go a little bit higher, because I know I'm chicken. I only gave it 93, so maybe I should have given it a higher score.
Would that be you challenging now, Peter?
I'm happy to challenge.
Go ahead. You're halfway there.
I just, yeah, you know the game.
You've got some support there, Peter. You've got 2 other judges in the 90s with you and a 87 and an 80. So
again, I guess when I look at this image in terms of the structure of the sun, it's gorgeous. It's beautiful to behold. And if you're trying to explain to a Luddite like myself what the sun is like and what the heat is like and what the power is like, this strong, tight crop does everything. I know it's a circle. I know it's the sun. I know how damn hot it all is. I think that the photographer has communicated that at 110%, and that's why I went for a gold.
Fantastic. Thank you so much. Jean-Luc, your score would suggest maybe thinking otherwise. What would you like to comment on this image, please?
I think that the image is quite impressive, but the surface of the sun is seen in negative. It's something that people used to do in solar observing, but have never really understood why. So that's why I didn't put a higher score. And maybe it would be possible to do something better with this image, with a more traditional way of processing the image and the positive processing of the surface of the sun. And the other point is that I think there is not anything special happening on the sun when this image was done. So technically, it's okay, it's fine. It's the raw data is very excellent. a better processing may be done, but maybe it's not an image that can win a contest.
Thank you very much, Jean-Luc. Marco, you're also in support of this one. You're at 90. Could you comment on this one too, please?
Yeah, to me, I mean, again, I'm pricing here the dramaticity, the impact as it is. It's a classic inverted sun. As you can also very clearly see by the border, which is brighter than the center, which is exactly the opposite of what is happening in reality. I'm fine with that because usually it gives a lot of a contrast, so is a increase in the impact. There is not absolutely perfect because if you see a full resolution, you see some parts of the image are not exactly sharp in the same way. So there are some selective sharpening or some things happen during the sharpening that is not bringing exactly the same level of details everywhere. You can see the full resolution, but however, still is a very, very nice, impactful image. So to me, I'm prizing in this case the overall feeling that is transmitting.
Thank you so much, Marco. Peter, back to you.
Yeah, I understand, and I guess that I'm responding quite differently to the scientific message that the sun is giving. And so where areas have been sharpened more than others, I actually give extra points for that in terms of a form of communication to me, the punter person who's looking at it. So I'm very comfortable with my score.
Thank you, folks. You've heard the debate. Peter's asking for a gold award. Well, Peter's already got a gold award. Peter's asking for a higher score. If you could rescore this image, please. Peter, you're locked in at 93. Just waiting on you, Marco. If you could enter a score, please. Marco? Thank you. There we are. Got it. Image score is now 88. So we have a silver award at 88. Okay, let's move on to the next image, please. Okay, the entrance statement. Comet C 2020 M3 Atlas and IC 405. This is taken in December in 2020 from Farm Tivoli in Namibia using an ASA Astrograph 12 f3.6 telescope. And the camera is an FLI ML16200. Total integration time, 0.7 of an hour. Scores, please, team. This image has scored 87. Again, very solid silver award. Are you comfortable with that, judges?
I've put a better score.
Would you like to challenge that, Jean-Luc, or are you comfortable with that?
Yes, of course. I think it's not so usual to have a comet nearby such a nebula. So I think it's the kind of image that may win the contest because it's something we have never seen before. This comet nearby this nebula. And technically, the image is done perfectly, I think, with the proper sky and the very good equipment, very adapt to taking pictures of comet. So maybe it's not maybe not the maximum score possible, but I think it should have a higher score. Yes.
Very good. I'm going to call on Marco. Marco, your
probably on
the
opposite score scale.
Yep.
Right. Yeah, the lowest score. So it's and that's quite interesting because you see different judges also. They bring a different contribution, right? A different it's all a very strong human contribution on the final score. I've been actually on the lower side on the score because it's a beautiful image. Absolutely, the color balance, the green, the reds and the blues and the reflection, the stars. So it's well done. However, I have to say, technically, it's not an image that requires to go really beyond the usual on astrophotography skills. So I don't know who was the one making this one. So definitely he mastered the fundamentals. But I would say I don't see a higher level of complexity implicit in this image aside of using a remote scope, because the scales is much lower. The speed of the comet is much lower. Probably didn't have to do anything here in terms of compensating the two. So it's there is a little bit of noise on the background. I would probably change a little bit the framing. I would say that there is a too much lower side. I would probably have given more a framing on the upper side of the image to give the feeling of the comet is escaping, you know, from the framing, to give a little bit more dynamism. So in fact, is a beautiful image. Absolutely, all the fundamentals are there, or most of the fundamentals are there. But I would say I don't feel this one as an implicit complexity, or requires an implicit complexity on the technical sides to justify an extremely high score.
Thanks very much, Marco. Chris, your score is in the gold range as well. Could I ask for a quick comment from you on this one too, please?
Actually, I have to agree with Jean-Luc about this. When we judge these things, example, the previous solar image, for me, there was no problem with the processing. It's just that it was an ordinary image. But this thing is, you have a comet that's moving, and it's not that easy to get a noise-free image when you have a comet that's moving. And the composition is really very nice to have a nebula next to it. This is what makes this image quite amazing.
Thanks very much, Chris. Jean-Luc, you have what? Excuse me, Jean-Luc, you have what we call right of reply, so you get a chance to conclude your argument.
Yes, I can hear the argument of Marco. In fact, when you look closer, when you look closely to the image, it's a little bit noisy, that's true. But as Christopher said, you don't have a lot of time to take this kind of picture because the comet is moving. So in this case, we can understand that there is a little bit of noise. But yes, the discussion is very interesting because, in fact, I'm agree with Marco, I'm agree with Christopher, and I'm agree with myself. So there is some plus and there is some good argument in the two sides. So that's interesting.
Thank you very much. Jean-Luc, if we can lock your score at 95 in, if we can ask everyone else to rescore this image, please. Yes, I often find agreeing with myself is the only way to have an intelligent conversation, so there you go. This image scores 88. Very, very solid silver award. Let's move on to the next image now, folks. Thank you very much. The entrance statement: Jupiter, Ganymede, and Io. It was a fantastic configuration with the satellites, one eclipse, and the Great Red Spot. Interesting details on the planet and satellites. This image was taken from Rome in Italy with a Skywatcher Dobsonian 16-inch GoTo with a ZWO ASI 462MC. They were using an atmospheric dispersion corrector and a 2x25 times Barlow. There are 5 images derotated from 5 videos of 60 seconds. If you could score the image, folks. This image scores 87. Very solid silver award. Are we all happy with that? I think we'll accept that score in this instance. And we might ask for some comments from Christopher Go. Chris, could you comment on this one, please?
This is an excellent image of Jupiter. I would say, for me, this is average seeing. The resolution of Ganymede and Io is very nice. The colors are spot on. but yeah, overall it's okay. It's an okay image.
Very good. Thank you, judges. We'll move on to the next image, please. Okay, entrant statement. The entrant combined 100 exposures to catch bright prominences and filaments brushing across a black canvas at the solar limb at up to 120 kilometers per second. Image was taken from the Blue Mountains of New South Wales in Australia with a Skywatcher EvoStar 100 Quark Chromosphere ZWO ASI 174 camera. 86 minutes integration time, 101 15-second video exposures. Scores, please, team. And this image scores a very solid silver award at 85. Congratulations to the entrant. Were you happy with that?
Well, I've got to talk to it, haven't I, Andrew?
Well, you've given it 93, so go ahead.
And again, I'm reacting as from a visual point of view, and you know, it'll surprise you. It reminds me of the down feathers on an adolescent king penguin, because they're that colour brown, and every now and then they've got a couple of white feathers which separate. And so I guess for me, it's got, you know, quite a different meaning perhaps. But I love that signature. It's like, for me, a little bit of calligraphy or a signature. And, you know, just, you know, I know what it's on. I know what it's all about. That's what I responded to. Technically, I'm sure you guys are going to say other things, and I'm listening.
Well, let's hear from Jean-Luc. Your score is a little lower than Peter's.
Yes, in fact, the shape of the prominence is very unusual. So this image is quite impressive from this point of view. So I think the image is very interesting. But I don't really understand why the prominence is in white and black and the surface of the sun is in color. I don't really understand this choice of processing. And even the color of the surface is quite unusual. It's more brown than a yellowish color that we could expect from a processing of the sun. We have to stress that this kind of image, in fact, everything is red. So at the end, having something in black and white and something in brown, I don't really understand, but I think this set of data should be reprocessed. And the prominence is really unusual, so it's worth reprocessing this set of data in a different way, I think.
Thank you, Jean-Luc. Chris, your score of 89, could you comment on this one, please?
Well, it's a nice image of the sun. It's kind of weird to have it white because normally the prominences are red. I just don't find it anything special about it. I mean, this is probably a combining as the this is not this is basically a combination of different prominences, so it doesn't really look real for me. So
thanks, Chris.
probably for a textbook, it might look impressive, but for me, it's just so-so.
Thanks, Chris. Peter, back to you. You're a little bit out on your own there, I think.
Okay, and I stand to be corrected. But as I say, I think that we're looking at it from different perspectives, and that's why you've got me on the panel. So you stuck with the score. I like it. It's a great goal. Thank you.
Folks, if you could rescore the image, please. Peter, you're locked in with your 93. And the image remains at 85. Still a very, very solid silver award. Congratulations to the entrant. Could we have the next image, please? What we're looking at here is the giant solar CME on the 27th of the 5th, 2023. It's a 2-panel mosaic. And once again, this one is taken at Nagyborsonyi in Hungary. With a Skywatcher Equinox 120 ZWO ASI 174 camera, BARDA DERF energy rejection filter, Daystar Quark chromospheric model. If we could get your scores in there, folks. And boom, this one's gone straight to gold at 90. Congratulations. Given that the score is 90 and everybody's pretty close in that they're scoring, we'll accept that score. With some commentary, let's hear from you, Marco. Could you pass some comment on the image, please?
Absolutely. So, well, that's one of those images you see, wow, boom, there is really an explosion going on. There is a lot of dramaticity, a lot of happenings. So that is really the first impression I had. I believe the fact also that there is so much going on. The background is dark. There is a contrast that really is giving really a strong feeling. So to me, this is one really of the images that is bringing emotions on the imager, on the one looking at that one. So it's almost textbook, maybe a little bit fuzzy on the solar limb. On the disc sides would be not as beautiful, as hairy as other images I've seen in this competition, but still is impressive. Really, it's a dance of flames. I like it.
Thank you, Marco. The dance of flames. I like that too. That's a good comment. We'll accept that score of 90 and move on to the next image, please. Okay, what we're looking at here is intense solar activity taken from Lorraine in France on a Skywatcher 72 ED, Quark Chromosphere, Paramount Mighty mount with a ZWO 174mm camera. It's a 2-panel mosaic. If we could get your scores in, please, team. Just one more score to come in. There it is. This image is scored 84. Very solid silver award. So congratulations to the entrant. Tanya, could I ask you to comment on this one, please?
Yeah, absolutely. Again, being able to see all of that detail in the surface of the sun, and you can pick up the movement and the filaments that you can see, and then some of the prominences on the edge. I think for me, what brought the score down a little bit was actually the framing. It is very similar to an image we had earlier where I felt with the whole sun was a lot more impactful than zooming in. I'm not quite sure what the reason is for the cropping and exactly what is trying to be highlighted there. But otherwise, you know, it is a magnificent view of our star.
And is it just me, or can anyone else see a smiley face in there? It's probably just me. Moving along.
See your in my head.
Next image, please. The entrance statement: a solar storm on the 8th of June, 2024, photographed with my solar telescope, the active region AR3697, air to the active region AR3664, which in the month of May produced several Class X flares, also producing auroras, SAR visible from Italy. It's always exciting to image these solar storms, especially in H-alpha, where you can clearly see the interactions between the sun's magnetic fields. Taken from Castel Belforti in Italy on an apochromatic refractor. 3,720 frames captured, stacked 250 of them. Scores, please, team. This image scores 87. Very, very solid silver award. Congratulations to the entrant. Well, now, what do we think, team? Are we happy with that score?
I can challenge again if you like, but I feel that I'm a little bit Robinson Crusoe here. You know, visually, I look at this image. Okay, I'll challenge it for you, Andrew. Visually, I look at the image. and I see these unknown animals, these scary dragons or whatever, going across the surface of the sun and creating explosions in the background. So I am a completely non-scientific viewer of this image, but to excite me about the sun, about the solar system, about space, this image does it for me. It is, it's compositionally very, very strong. Technically, I don't care.
Fair enough.
I actually would challenge a little
Hang
bit.
on, Marco. Hang on, Marco. Through the chair, please. Through the chair, please. We'll come back to you in a moment, Marco, if that's all right. I want to hear from Jean-Luc first, because he's the lowest scorer, if that's all right.
Sorry.
In fact, the positive point about the image, I like the setup that has been used. We can stress that the author used a Coronado personal solar telescope. It's a very cheap refractor to observe the sun. And some people use only the filter part of the Coronado to put it on a bigger refractor. So at the end, the image has a level of resolution that is quite impressive for the setup. So that's the very positive part about the image. But when you zoom in the image, it's quite noisy. And maybe the preeminence were moving very fast because they are a little bit blurry. And as I said before, I'm not a big fan of the negative processing of the surface, but it's a choice. It's I would say the personal point of view, but that's it. But in fact, the scene of the sun is very impressive. A lot of things happen on the sun, so it's still a good image, but maybe it should require a shorter length of exposure. The length of the video was maybe a little bit too long.
Thank you so much for that, Jean-Luc. Marco, yes, you'd love to talk about this. I'm guessing in support because you've given it 90.
Yeah, I mean, I believe actually there are several elements in these images which push up a little bit the score. So I agree with Jean-Luc. When you expand at the full resolution, it's definitely noisy with the borderline some tiny artifacts. But we are talking about an image which is pretty big. It's a quite large resolution. So I'm not even sure it is being expanded and so from the original chip size, maybe drizzling or something like that. However, I believe there are a few things actually I like. So first is that there's a really effect of a hairy sun that is not that common to see. And I believe that there was the same image from the same location, so it's the same author. It's kind of distinctive, and I like it. The framing is quite good. There is a right balance between the sun surface and the border. A lot's going on. You have all these prominences on the surface, moving like snakes. It's really emotionally nice. Yes, inverted as many. It's quite common by many, so this is something can be disliked. And there is a very well controlled, very well blending between the external side, which is typically requiring a different processing. So on the border versus the disk. So I think overall we are very, very high on the technicality side, and emotionally I like it. So it's not as an impact as the flames, but I like it. So I would.
Thanks, Marco. That's terrific. Peter, has it all been said, or you've got something more to add?
Yep, I'm good.
All right, folks, I'll get you to rescore. Peter's locked in at 93. Marco, Christopher, Tanya, and Jean-Luc, could you all rescore, please? This image now scores 88. But we had a good chat about it, but the song remains the same. Folks, just one last thing. I need to kind of keep things moving a little bit faster. So we'll keep the comments a little shorter if that's okay. Could we go to the next image, please? All right. This looks to me like, this is the entrance statement. This looks to me like a sunflower in the Exmouth sky. Delicate streamers of the solar corona loop over the top of swirling prominences. The location is Exmouth in Western Australia, taken on a Skywatcher Esprit 150 at 1,575 millimeters and Sony A1 camera. Total integration time, 50 seconds of eclipse. Scores, please, team. Boom, 92. Gold award. Straight up into it. And the scoring is remarkably similar on this one. There are some very high scoring judges here. Let's have a quick chat about it. I'm going to call on Marco to challenge this one. Actually, hold on. Marco and Jean-Luc are both on the same score. Who would like to challenge it? Because one of you can and the other one can't change their score. Who wants
talk about it if you want.
Okay, Jean-Luc, you're challenging it. Your score is going to be locked in at 96. Would you talk to the image, please?
For me, it's the kind of image that can win a contest because nearly everything is perfect. And what I appreciate this eclipse was an eclipse of solar maximum. So you have some plumes in every direction around the sun, some plumes of the corona. And as I said before on the other picture of this eclipse, the processing of such an image is very, very, very tricky. The author has to spend a lot of time, maybe days of processing to get this result. And we have also to stress that the resolution of the image is quite unusual. The level of resolution is very high for this kind of pictures. It's some picture that you take during daytime. So most of the time you have some turbulence of the sky. So yes, for me, it's a very, very, very good result. And it's one of the most solid images of this contest.
Thank you very much, Jean-Luc. Peter, you're a little lower on your scores on this one.
I obviously don't come with the understanding of how the image has been put together and those complexities. I'm just looking at it visually, and I've scored it a very high silver, so I don't feel like I've done any, not disparaging in any way. It's a beautiful image. I just haven't got the same understanding as the other judges, I'm afraid.
Let's move on to Dr. Tanya. Could I ask you to comment on this one, please?
Absolutely. I think this is an amazing image, particularly the faint detail that you can see in the moon as it moves in front of the sun there. And I mean, part of it, as I scored it, I thought part of it is also just the fact that that eclipse obviously was at a perfect time to be able to have those beautiful streamers that do look like petals. But as Jean-Luc said, a lot of work then had to go in to pull out that amazing feature. So that's why I rated it highly.
Well, very good. Jean-Luc, has it all been said, or do you have anything else to add to this one?
No, I think everything has been said, yes.
All righty then. Folks, I'll ask you to rescore. Jean-Luc, you're locked in at 96. Everyone else is free to rescore as they see fit.
My button went a little bit quickly there, Andrew. There should be another 5 points on what's been recorded.
Daniel or Robyn, can you help Peter with that?
I can do it now. Fantastic.
I think the system allows us to do that.
All right, what a sensible thing. Thank you.
There we are. Thank you very much for that, Peter, letting us know. This image now scores 94. Woohoo! That's a very solid gold. Yep, that's a top 10 hit from the 80s, solid gold. Congratulations to the entrant. Let's take a deep breath and go to the next image, please. My screen hasn't refreshed, although I can see the entry statement there. Can you guys all see the new image?
Yep.
Yep. Okay. Well, I'll read the entry statement in the meantime. Comet C 2020 F3 Neowise. 21-hour, 21-minute perspective to give the impression that the image was taken from space. The location is Hochlar, Lower Austria. And the equipment used is a Canon 200mm telephoto lens at 2.8, stopped down to f4. And the total exposure time is just over half an hour at 32 minutes. Daniel, do I need to log in and out again so I can see what's going on there? I can see the scores. which is 87, so I can announce that.
Yeah, sorry, Andrew, your session's timed out. Just hit the X and log out and then log back in again. It should be good.
All right. In the meantime, while we do that, I'll take a technical break in just a second. But this image has scored 87. And I think we'll accept that score, but I would like to get some comment on this image. In fact, I'd like to hear from Tanya. Could you talk to this image, please?
Yes, absolutely. So I think the image of the comet, I really think is fantastic. You can really now see the separation of those two tails that I was talking before, the iron tail, which has the charged particles in it. And so it's being pushed back by and grabbing the magnetic field of the solar wind. And then you've got the beautiful dust tail, which is more pushed back by the pressure, the radiation pressure of the sun, so the pressure of sunlight, as well as the solar wind. And you can see in the dust tail those striations, which means that it's the different times when the dust was released from the comet. I must say, again, I suppose perhaps someone coming at from a different point of view might like that art feel of the atmosphere being there on the bottom. To me, that actually took away a little bit from what I felt was the beauty of the image itself. But really lovely capture of the comet.
Thanks very much, Tanya. Could we have the next image, please? This one has scored 87. Okay, A Candle on the Sun. This is the title that came to me straight away for this shot taken on the 26th of August at Castel Belforte. It's taken with an achromatic refractor, Daystar Quark chromosphere, ASA 178 camera. 340 of 3,798 frames were stacked. So we have a gold award straight away, folks. Fantastic. Congratulations to the entrant with this 90. Let's see now. We've got almost all the judges in gold here. Marco, you're the highest scorer. Are you happy with that score, or did you want to see if it'll go up at all?
Well, in general, I would say I'm quite into solar images lately, because I tend to score them highly, because it's also nice to see how the sun is giving such an incredible show now, which is maximum. So that is definitely. I particularly like this image. It was an April also not long ago. It's right the balance. It looks kind of Christmas tree floating above the sun. So in general, I like the global effect. So definitely it's gold plus 2 plus 1. That doesn't change much, but I think, and I respect the rest of the judges' comments. I believe it's quite proper. It's not the best image I've seen in this competition. I stand for the solar eclipse we see earlier, but that is a solid runner-up in my opinion.
Thanks so much, Marco. So was that a challenge or was that a comment? Because I wasn't quite sure what you were doing there. I'm thinking that was a comment.
It's more a comment, because I believe
okay. Well, it's got a gold, so let's accept that. All right. Let's go to the next image, please. Daniel, I still don't have the image on my screen, but I do have the entrance statement. The entrance statement is 4 icy moons were near to Saturn in September 2023, making for a pretty close-up view of Saturn and its companions. This image was taken from the Blue Mountains of New South Wales, Australia, on a Celestron C14. There's a 2 times Barlow used, and exposure was 8 by 75 seconds for each of the red, green, and blue channels, with a total integration time of 30 minutes. I've got my picture back too. Thank you, Daniel. Just waiting on one more score to come in. And I think that might be, there it is. Thank you very much. Judges, this image has scored 88, very solid silver award. And congratulations to the entrant Scores are almost identical in this one. Are we all happy with that score, folks? Yep, excellent. In that case, let's call on Jean-Luc for some feedback for the entrant. Could I ask you to comment on this one, please?
In fact, this image is made with a Silistron C14 that Christopher knows a lot. And maybe we can have his feedback, but I think we are nearby the limit of what kind of picture this telescope can give in resolution. Especially you have the small gap of Encke at the edge of the ring that is very well visible. We also have some details on the atmosphere of Saturn in latitude, of course, but even in longitude, some small dark spots on the bright spot are visible. Maybe we can also see some faint chromatic aberration of the telescope on the image. So for me, that's the weaker part of the image. It could be fixed by the processing, but it's a very small default. In fact, the image is overall nearly perfect for the telescope, so it's a very good image of Saturn.
There we are. Thank you so much, Jean-Luc. Could we have the next image, please? And the entrance statement, Comet C/2021 A1 Leonard, 31/12/2021, mosaic of 2 panels, taken from Farm Tivoli in Namibia on an ASA Astrograph 12-inch f3.6 telescope with an ASI 6200 camera. It's a mosaic of 2 panels of LRGB, 120 seconds each per panel. Could we have your scores in, please, folks? And just waiting, there it is. Boom, this image has scored a gold award at 82. Very, very solid gold. Congratulations to the entrant. Well done. We have a judge who's perhaps scored a little higher than that. I just wonder if we should just accept that score, or did you want to challenge that, sir?
How much was the score?
We've got a judge on 99. Jean-Luc, what do you think? Do you want to take it on?
Yes, maybe. In fact, I was very impressed by this image. I think that the visual effect of the image is very impressive. We have a lot of details in the tail of the comet. And as we said before, processing the data of a comet is always a little bit tricky because the comet is moving. And since the author of the image used proper equipment to take picture of comet, there is a very sharp image of the comet. And even with such a level of detail of the tail of the comet, you can have some issue with the gas moving inside the tail of the comet. So having this level of resolution in the tail of the comet is for me very impressive. And I like nearly everything about this image. Maybe if I could regret something, it's a little bit panoramic shape of the picture. Maybe to have more sky over and under the image could have been better. But yes, I've been very impressed by this image.
Thank you, Jean-Luc. Peter, you're a little lower on this one. Could I ask you to comment on this one, please?
I don't want to take anything away from the image. I know that there was an earlier image which I scored, and I was the high person, and now here I am, the low person. So I guess I'm not consistent. But I did drop my score a little bit because I didn't feel I felt this composition was too tight. I liked the other image. I don't know if it's the same photographer, certainly the same comet, I imagine. It had a much stronger sense of space and position for me. And so I marked this one down a little bit just because of the framing, which I thought was I thought it was a bit scientific, a bit clinical, because the other one I felt was far more emotional.
Thank you so much. Tanya, you're well and truly into the gold range. And in fact, you're right on the average at 92. Could I ask for your thoughts, please?
Yes, again, I mean, Comet Leonard, it was a very photogenic comet, as we've seen, and I do love the detail in the iron tail, the blue tail running through it, and then the fact that the stars are so beautiful and crisp against in the background. So it's just an amazing image, and well done to the photographer.
Thank you so much, Tanya. Jean-Luc, has it all been said, or did you have anything else to add before we rescore this one?
For me, the score is okay, but I just have to say it was in my maybe top 3 or 4 images. I don't have any favorite image on this contest, but I have a top range of image, and this one is inside the top selection.
Thank you, Jean-Luc. You're locked in at 99. Everyone else is free to rescore their image as they see fit. The image now scores 93. Very, very solid gold. Congratulations to the entrant. Well done. Next image, please. Total solar eclipse with many prominences, taken from Ashley, Illinois in the USA on a Stellarvue SVX 102T. You can win one of those if you're lucky enough to win the category, and perhaps go into the draw, into the selection for the overall prize for the winner. This is also taken on a D500 APS-C camera. Over 20 hours of processing went into this, with the 12 exposures ranging from a 8,000th of a second to a quarter of a second in one-stop increments. This image scores 84. Very solid silver award. Congratulations to the entrant. And let's have some feedback. We'll just we'll accept that score, and we'll go for some feedback from Dr. Tanya, please.
So it's interesting with you can't help but compare the eclipse from Exmouth. The streamers were very much like petals. I really like this one because it almost is more like a dandelion kind of feel to it. It's a bit softer. I suppose, you know, I like the prominences that so the pink regions that you can see they're coming up against the sun, and you know, very lucky for the photographer to have been able to experience a total solar eclipse. They're one of the most amazing things to be able to be there and stand in the shadow of the moon.
Fantastic. Have you seen one yourself, Tanya?
I have. I've seen a couple, and it's just, yeah, it's
wow.
You don't forget, and I wish I could travel to more of them. That's for sure.
Wow, it must be on the bucket list, I think, for many people. But if we hang out, what is it, 8 or 10 years or something, it comes over Melbourne, or 20? I don't know. It's soon anyway. It's in my lifetime.
2028 for Sydney, so it's coming up very soon. I've been waiting for that for quite a while. So
all right, book your tickets now, folks. Next image, please. The entrance statement: a montage showing the changes in Saturn, particularly the ring tilt and banding, over the last 6 years. This is taken from Wattle Flat, New South Wales, Australia, on a Celestron C14 Edge HD. A Player One Saturn M SQR camera with chroma, RGB filters, and a 2x Barlow. Total exposure integration time of 80 minutes. Scores coming in thick and fast now. And this image scores 90. Boom, straight to gold. Congratulations to the entrant. Done very, very well there. Given the scoring range is so tight, I think we should accept that score. But that said, we should get some feedback. Marco, could we ask you to speak on this one, please?
Yes, absolutely. So first, appreciation to the author, because the consistency between the years on the processing is remarkable. So there is a real uniformity between 5 years that is very, very nice. So the composition is very balanced. It's proper. There is a very nice processing on the rings and no major artifacts, details on the surface. You can see a lot of details during the years on the surface is also visible. So it's really, really, really well done. I believe I am one of the highest scorers. So
Thank you so much. Thank you, Marco. We'll accept that score of 90 and we'll move on to the next image, please. The information is an extraordinary show. We're seeing a double transit with a double eclipse. Europa is just below the Great Red Spot. Ganymede has not long finished the transit and is showing off on the right. Image was taken in Rome on a Skywatcher Dobsonian 16-inch GoTo. There are 3 images derotated from 3 videos of 60 seconds. Total integration time is 3 minutes. Scores, please, team. This image has, wow, Gold Award 91, boom, straight up. And the scoring is remarkably similar. There is one exception, though. One judge is much, much higher. Are you happy with the scores, judges?
Yeah.
Maybe I can speak. Maybe I'm the higher.
Yes, I am.
Yes,
I am just looking at you a little bit, thinking that maybe you'd like to challenge this one, Jean-Luc, because you've given it 98, which is
Yes, in
a very
fact,
solid score.
This image was made from Europe, and when we make solar imaging in Europe, it's not so easy because of the weather, the clouds, of course. But we used to have some jet stream winds that are very strong and that are a very big problem for taking picture of the solar system. So the resolution of the image is quite good from this point of view, even if it's not as sharp as it could be for such a telescope. And I also want to say that I like the setup that have been used because it's a commercial telescope, quite cheap for its diameter. It's a Skywatcher 16-inch Dobson telescope. So getting this kind of result with a telescope that at the beginning, in fact, is not made for planetary imaging. It's just a telescope that has been built for visual observation of the galaxy, of the nebula. So getting this kind of result with such a telescope is very impressive. And the last point is that, of course, the configuration of the satellite around Jupiter with the shadow and Io nearby, is it Io or Europe? I'm not sure, in fact. But the satellite nearby the red spot is in a very beautiful position with the spot nearby. So yes, in fact, I like everything about this image.
Thank you, Jean-Luc. The information says that Europa is just below the Great Red Spot.
Europa, yes. I had a doubt.
Oh, good. Tanya, you're one of the lowest scorers there. Would you talk to the image?
Yes.
When I say lowest scorer, you've given it 87. So
yes, no, I still really like this image, and it was interesting to hear from you, Jean-Luc, about just the difficulties from observing from that location, and also you're correct with the telescope that was being used for it. Science-wise, what I really liked about it too was the fact that Ganymede's shadow is like you so often see the eclipses and you see the shadows as perfect circles, and I love the fact that it's not a perfect circle because of Jupiter itself being a sphere. So yeah, I think it's a lovely image. I suppose knowing the issues with the observing and the telescope is interesting, but at the same time, I kind of feel we have to judge the images also on just how they appear. But congratulations to the photographer for dealing with those challenges and producing something so great.
Thank you, Tanya. Christopher, we haven't heard from you in a little while. Could I ask you to comment on this one, please, sir?
Well, this is a very nice image of Jupiter. Catching a double transit isn't easy because it's very rare. And I understand that in Europe, the seeing there could be a challenge, and especially with the telescope use. So the details of Ganymede is very nice. And even Europa, you can really see some markings on the surface of Europa. This is a very good timed image from what I see.
Thank you so much, Christopher. Jean-Luc, has it all been said for you, or do you have some more to add to your right of reply?
Yes, maybe a last word. We have also to say that you can see on the left side of Jupiter that we are not exactly at the opposition of Jupiter. So we are not at the time when the planet has is bigger angular size. So it makes this image more tricky from the resolution point of view.
Thank you so much, team. Jean-Luc, your score is locked in at 98. I'll ask everybody else to rescore this image, please.
What was the average, Andrew? It got a gold, did it anyway?
You know what? It's just disappeared off my screen. I'm sorry. I think it was in gold. It may have been 91 or 92.
91, yes.
Yep, 91. Thank you.
Thank you.
Now it scores 91. It's definitely solid gold now.
Okay.
Yeah, the score hasn't really changed there, but we had a good talk about it, and it's a good opportunity for everybody to learn a little bit of the magic that comes from having these experts on the panel. Thank you so much, team. Next image, please. Right, the entrance statement is Comet C 2022 E3 ZTF, visiting Auriga's hydrogen treasures. The image taken in the only cloud hole available in those days. It's taken near Wrocław in Poland using a Nikon D610 modified with a Samyang 135-2 lens. The exposure is 23 by 120 seconds. Just mentioning to everyone in live stream that the judges all have this technical information at their fingertips. So they're very aware of what they're looking at. They can also and have the opportunity to zoom in on every single image at 100% so they can pixel peep and look at all the fine details of these images, which of course are probably masked a little bit by going through the process of the internet. But not for them, they get it in high res. This image has scored 90. Gold award, boom. I think given the scoring range there, we'll accept that score of 90. And we'd like a comment from Tanya. You're smack in the middle at 90.
Yeah, fantastic. Again, it's lovely to see a comet against a nebula, and especially that vivid green from the carbon or the cyanogen that's making the green glow of the comet versus the hydrogen, the red hydrogen in the nebulae. I do wonder, I think it would be interesting to play with the framing of the image and whether it could become a bit more dramatic. Perhaps to me, I felt that maybe if it was cropped in a little bit more. Although when you do get to zoom in, you were talking about that. I did love seeing the dark clouds that are hidden in some of the regions below where the comet is. So it's yeah, lovely image, I think.
Thank you so much. Reminds me a little bit of a time when I was photographing a comet for the very first time, and my colleague was watching the comet through his telescope, and I was imaging the thing at the same time, which was extraordinary to actually see it move and capture the image. But what astounded me, not knowing too much about cometry imaging at the time, was the tail of the comet was not moving behind the comet. The comet was moving independently because you sort of think, well, that doesn't make sense. But then when you realize what's going on with solar wind and gravity and all those things that I'm sure you could tell us more about, Tanya, it was fascinating. So let's go to the next image, please. Speaking of comets, this is Comet C/2021 A1 Leonard, taken on the 30th of the 12th, 2021 from Farm Tivoli in Namibia on the ASA Astrograph 12-inch f3.6 telescope, and the camera is an ASI 6200. The exposure is 120 seconds of each L, R, G, and B. Scores, please, team. Image scores 91. Boom. Gold award. Very similar scoring within the judging range here. So we'll accept that score. but we will not let it get away without a comment in this case. Let's hear from Jean-Luc. I'll ask you to speak to this image, please.
Yes, this image of comet is quite similar to other than we have seen before, and it has in fact the same kind of quality. Maybe it's the same author, I don't know. But yes, you have the same issue with the movement of the comet on the sky, and also the processing that is quite hard to do, especially here because the image was done with a filter wheel. So you take an image with the red filter, and then the comet moves, you take an image with the green filter, and at the end you have to merge everything. You have to merge separately the image of the comet and the image of the star and put it together at the end. So it's quite tricky processing, and it's a very good image from this point of view. The visual effect of this comet particularly is not for me as strong as the other one that we have seen before, but it's not because of the photographer. It's not because of the setup. It's just another kind of comet, and but it's still very, very impressive, very beautiful.
Thank you so much for that. Well done. We've accepted that score of 91, and we'll move to the next image, please. Alrighty. Entrance statement is, I justify the seemingly ridiculous effort by saying that I believe these are the highest resolution white light images of the solar corona ever captured. Location is Exmouth in Western Australia. Equipment used is a Skywatcher Esprit 150 at 1,575 millimeters. Skywatcher EvoStar 150 by 2, and a Sony A1 by 2 camera, and a Sony A7 IV. Exposures range from 1/2000 to 1/8 of a second exposures, 2,000 video frames, 135 raw exposures, with a total integration time of 50 seconds of the eclipse itself. I'll ask you to score this one now, folks. All right, then. This image has scored a very solid gold at 92. Now, we've got 4 judges in gold in this one, and one judge is 5 points away from the average, which is a very high score, and it gives us the opportunity, if you would like to challenge this, and we can talk about it. Tanya, would you like to challenge this image?
Sure, yes, I'll challenge this image. So again, it was a very photogenic eclipse, as we can see, but to then, I find this cropped version of it, I don't know if it's the same, I would assume it probably is, but really being able to see, I don't know if I've ever seen sort of the detail in the moon. I think that's what really stands out to me. I mean, we know that that's how eclipses form, that you have the moon coming in front of the sun and blocking it out, but it just is beautiful in the way that you really can visualize that it's almost the moon that then is producing the light effect of which is really from the corona of the sun, and the detail that you can see in the corona, the amount of work that must have gone in to be able to pull all those different images and video frames together and create something that looks so natural and realistic and yet so detailed. That's why I think it's a stunning photograph.
Thank you, Tanya. Peter, you're just out of gold at 88. Could I ask you to comment on this one, please?
Oh, you're a hard bugger. Why do you have to point me out like that? You know, everybody else thought I was a nice guy. I'm just coming at from a visual point of view. I accept all of the work. I love the image. I've scored at 88. From where I come, that is a super high score, and I love the image. So stop giving me a hard time for doing the right thing by it.
Let's move on then. Let's hear from. Let me see now, Marco. Let's hear from you, please, sir.
Yeah. So this is absolutely. This is the sister, or probably one of the images that contributed to the one we commented before. To me, is fantastic. It's probably one of the best resolution I have ever seen. Absolutely. It's just below, because it's a partial. It's just half of the sun, so it's below the other image we saw earlier on the solar eclipse. That I agree with Jean-Luc. To me, it's the best image probably of this competition I have seen. So it's impressive. It's impressive, and there is a huge amount of work to do this type of processing in terms of masking and contrast to return all the details, and yet you still keep a kind of natural look to the final result. So it's impressive job.
Thank you so much, Marco. Tanya, you started this little show off. Do you have right of reply? Got anything to add to this one?
Just Peter, what are you doing? No, it's
I'll go up. It's all right. Relax.
It's fantastic. Thanks.
Thanks, Tanya. I'll lock you in at 97. I'll ask everyone else to rescore, please. There we are. Image remains at 92. Very, very fine image. Very fine score. Thank you, Peter. I'm just looking at the numbers, mate. Let's go to the next image, please. Congratulations to the entrant for the Gold Award. This image, entrant statement: dust clouds flow down the Valles Marineris during the 2020 favourable opposition, whilst blue water vapour cloud shrouds the North Polar region. Image was taken from Wattle Flat, New South Wales, Australia on a C14 Edge HD. Player 1 Saturn M SQR, Chroma RGB filters, and a 2x Barlow. 24,013 millisecond exposures went into the creation of this image. And the image score is 88. Very, very solid score there. Are we all comfortable with that score, judges? Lots of nodding of heads. Everyone's happy. In that case, we will call for commentary, please. Let's see now. Chris, we haven't heard from you for a little while. Could we have some feedback from you, please?
Yeah, this is an excellent image of Mars. I remember this because I also took an image of this, and that sandstorm was really incredible. Normally, it's difficult to see the Valles Marineris without a sandstorm. Here, it's quite distinct. I like the processing of this because you can see the horizon shadows, the horizon clouds, which are well defined. And there's a couple of sandstorms that are happening not just on the Valles Marineris, but also up a little north. One thing I don't like about this is the pole, which is a bit blue, but it's quite difficult to process the pole to make it white.
Thanks, Chris. Just for the benefit of anyone at home who may not have that insight, so the Martian pole should be white?
White. It should be white.
Thank you.
White.
Thank you. That's just a little bit of education for those out there. We've accepted that score of 88, and in fact, if I've got this correct, that is the last image in the category. So thank you, linesmen. Thank you, ball boys. Thank you, judges, for your assessments and comments on these very fine and beautiful images of the solar system, and it's all kinds of amazing imagery then in there. There's so much going on around us in astrophotography that's a beautiful and specialized field, and we're very delighted and lucky to have 3 specialist solar system imaging specialists here on the panel, and an astrophysicist, and one of the best landscape photographers in Australia. Thank you, judges. That's been fantastic. I'll hand back to Robyn to MC.
Awesome. Thanks, Andy. And great job panel chairing as well. That was fantastic. And certainly the additional educational elements help those of us who are newbies. So thank you so much. And thank you to all of our expert judges for sharing your opinions. It was really great to hear different perspectives on things and considering it from a technical aspect or from a learned astrophysics perspective or from a visual perspective. It was absolutely enlightening. Thank you so much. So we now have the honour of announcing first, second and third places for the solar system category. So this was an incredible category, some very, very high scoring images, and rightly so. The judges had a great time debating all of those 90s, and it was lovely to see so many golds being awarded. So I have the pleasure to now announce third place for solar system in the Astro Photographic Prize is this image here by Phil Hart. Congratulations, Phil. Well done. So Phil has won for himself an astrography store voucher valued at $200 USD. So Phil, you get to make some beautiful prints of that quite outstanding image. Congratulations from all of us here. We now get to go to our second place winner. Now, our second place winner receives an incredible Attic GP color camera sponsored by QSI. The Attic GP excels in both planetary camera and also as an astronomy guider. It's compact in size and lightweight, and it's easy to use on telescopes large and small. The sensor used is a highly sensitive 1.3 million pixel ICX 445 EXU 22 CCD. So I have the pleasure of announcing the winner of second place. Runner-up is Gerald Raymond. Congratulations, Gerald. Andy, you might remember some of the commentary on this image from the judges. You're muted.
Just latching onto the comments from Dr. Tanya, who was letting us know a little bit more about the composition and the ion trails and so forth of what we were actually seeing there. It was fascinating to hear that debate, and some of the judges' scoring on this was extraordinary.
Absolutely, could not agree more. All right, now we're on to first place. So our first prize is sponsored by QSI. It is an Attic Infinity color camera valued at over $1,000 USD. It's well suited to a broad range of telescopes, bringing the wonders of the deep sky imaging to your screen in seconds. The winner of this category also will go in to be a finalist for the overall prize, which is a Stellarvue telescope valued at over $3,000. So without further ado, we almost need a drum roll, don't we? The winner of the solar category of the 2024 Astrophotography Prize is Phil Hart. Congratulations,
Hey.
Phil. We have a rather lovely trophy that will be sent out to you as well.
It's appropriate.
Beautiful. Andy, what do you remember of the judging of this image?
There's not too many times I think I see 97s and 99s being thrown around, but I think the judges rewarded the sheer effort and persistence and skill in not only the capture but the processing of this image. There were several eclipse images seen and judged in the category, but this one was by far the most impressive and well deserving of not only the gold award, but in fact to win the category. Congratulations, Phil. Very well done.
Sensational. Well done, Phil. So with that, we will wrap up tonight's proceedings. We'll see you again tomorrow morning for the judging of the deep space category. And we have yet more incredible images, amazing judges, and another keynote presentation, this time from Wolfgang Promper. So please feel free to join us. We'll love to see you there, and good luck to all the entrants.
Good night, everybody.